Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, party people, it is Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. We're just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. Uh, this is episode blah, blah, blah. We stopped tracking that. We are going to be doing our round two mock draft. As you know, if you're watching, you're well aware the NFL draft is coming up next week. Last week we did our first round mock draft. Today we're going to do second round. And yeah, just a little fun stuff, kind of playing matchmaker for some of these teams and, who's left that's still available. And I guess with all that being said, how's it going tonight there, James?
It's going all right. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, my man. Pretty good. Just chilling. Weather was nice here today. It was, in the 70s. And so, Michigan, man, snow a couple days ago, 70s. We're in that kind of spring, summer, like it wants to happen, but it's not quite there yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember like here like this morning it was raining and then like we got into the 70s by work, so
Okay. All right. Well, hey. So yeah, we're on to round two, and for
before
oh
before
yeah,
we
yeah.
go there. So Aaron Rodgers broke his silence this week.
Oh boy.
Dude laid in to Aaron Glenn.
What?
Laid into like the whole thing that happened with him with the Jets. So apparently he flew to New York on his own dime, as he said. And I'm just going to read the quote
Sure.
because this is fucking crazy. It's like I figured that when I flew across the country on my own dime that there was going to be a conversation. And the
Yeah.
confusing thing to me and the strange thing was when I went out there, I met with the coach. We started talking and he runs out of the room. Then he comes back with the GM. So we sit down in the office and I think we're going to have this long conversation. And 20 seconds in, he goes, I'm talking to the GM about something. And he leans to the edge of his seat and goes, are you sure you want to play football? And I respond, yeah, I'm interested. And he says, we're going in a different direction at quarterback.
Okay. All right. Sounds a little funky.
Yeah. He's like, I was shocked, not because I didn't think that it was a possibility, but shocked because I just flew across the country and
Could have been handled differently. Yeah.
you could have told me this on the phone.
Yeah.
We just want to know how you want it released, the messaging. And I said, I don't give a shit about the messaging. He said, I don't, apparently Aaron Glenn told him, I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you. I asked, what does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during the team meeting undermining what you're saying? You don't know me. Aaron Glenn responded, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team. What I thought was going to be a couple-hour meeting turned into like a 15-minute meeting, and I walked out of there. I don't want any part of that. It was already a debacle.
Okay. All right. It sounds a little funky, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like outside that, like he dropped some nuggets. Like he's still considering retirement. He's apparently going through some personal stuff
Okay.
with which he's dealing with, and he doesn't want to commit to a team until he can be 100% committed.
Sure.
Which makes sense. And like apparently he talked with the Giants, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh, and he's telling everybody that like, he's like I'll play for $10 million this year. I don't care. I just want to, when I want to play, decide I want to play, I'll play. It's not about the money.
Yeah.
And like the Steelers didn't give him a deadline.
Okay.
But he told the Steelers, if you need to move on, by all means move on. I understand. It's kind of a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a team like the Steelers, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, it sucks to be you, but also I kind of respect a little bit that Rogers is like, I can't be 100%. I can't be all in right now because I'm going with some stuff in my
Yeah,
in my personal life. So I'm not going to commit to a team till I can be all in on it.
sure. Yeah, which means like, uh, 2 weeks into preseason, so he gets to miss all the off-season workouts, and
Yeah,
I'm just ready to roll. And you gave me a playbook 6 months ago, so I know it, and we're good.
yeah. So it's just thought that was a little good tidbit. I think it's really fucking weird the description of the meeting with Aaron Glenn. Like,
Yeah, that is funky. Yeah,
but
yeah, it's almost like what are you filming Hard Knocks? Like you need him to be here for this? Like why would you do
yeah,
it that way if your mind was made up that he was going to be gone?
exactly. So who knows? Who knows on that? It's just weird.
All right. Well, anything else you want to hit?
I think that was about it. One thing that I think we didn't talk about it last week because I think it came out after, but I think the draft, our draft for last week, I think there's going to be a lot of changes to it because I'm reading that
Oh, about
Carr,
yeah, Derek Carr and that shoulder injury. Yeah.
yeah, he has a shoulder injury and he could be out several weeks of the season, and his even playing this year is in doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And the other
Yeah, I
thing
saw he
is,
could be out for the whole year. Yeah.
yeah, and another thing is Ryan Ramchak retired.
Retired. Yep. The right tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, if you're gonna have a
And I think there
re-
were rumors of that, but yeah, now that you know, it's bad timing, right? Like you want to know that
yeah,
before free agency,
hmm
but it is what it is, Like these guys, their decisions come when they make them. So
yeah. So those two things with the Saints might affect, and I think we
yeah, we had them taking a cornerback, which is a big need for them. But yeah, I mean, for sure, with the recent news, I could have seen it switching to, Will Campbell to get him a tackle, or even, the thing is, I've actually heard that if they go quarterback, they would leapfrog Shadur Sanders and go for Jackson Dart.
that's what I'm hearing too. And I actually for Kellen Moore's offense, I think Jackson Dart would be a better fit.
Hey, I mean, you got to get the guy that is going to work best for you. So, if that's what they're doing, it just is a shame because they're paying like fucking, 40 something million guaranteed to Derek Carr and they're not going to get anything out of him. But, um, you know, they got to do what they got to do. They're in a tough situation at this point.
Yeah, and like I kept meaning this week to look into it, like because this is kind of it's almost sudden that like how did he get injured?
Yeah, because they were saying his injuries through the season were not shoulder related. He had two other injuries, but I forget what they were. And yeah, I was reading the same thing that the article was like kind of like, well, when did the shoulder thing come up and why is it an issue now instead of like right after the season? And it's weird how some of these things kind of develop like this.
Yeah, so like like I just googled um De- Derek Carr injury, and like the first result is NFL personnel reportedly see Derek Carr injury as fishy. Head coach calls it trade bait.
Well, you can't trade a guy that's hurt.
You can if they know up front that he's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's not on IR, It's not like you're mid-season like that. But um, hmm, okay. I don't know who's going to trade for him with him being hurt like that and possibly missing the entire year,
Yeah, no, I agree.
unless it's like a Cleveland, we're going to dump him with a draft pick. But what does that do? Because they just guaranteed his salary. I mean, them signing him to me all along was destined to fail, is what it seemed like. We knew that he was going in there while they were in serious salary cap hell. And, it seemed like his ceiling was only so high anyhow. With the state of their roster, they were really needing somebody to be like so much better than that, which the only way they could get it was by throwing a dart in the draft, which they didn't want to do. And so, by refusing to rebuild and do that, they just kind of kicked the can down the road of these salary cap issues. And it just, maybe they're getting close to unfolding it. I don't know, but I don't see them being like some fucking serious playoff team, whether he's healthy or not this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. So what I'm reading is the Saints previously knew about his injury. It just became public.
Okay. So, yeah, but it would have had to happen after the season, right? Because then they get in trouble for not disclosing it with the league.
Holy sh! Okay, this is kind of fishy. This really is this is really weird.
Sure.
So apparently the Saints restructured his contract without his permission. And here's a quote. Maybe this is Derek Carr looking at the situation going, I don't want the Kirk Cousins treatment. I don't want to be your quarterback. You guys draft a young guy coming in here, and it's basically when is he going to play, which makes a quarterback room tense.
Yeah.
And like, so apparently, and some podcasts,
It's been premeditated, is what they're suspecting.
on Diana Rossini, her podcast, from what I can gather, it appears the information got out from the car side of it. It was put out
Okay.
by them. I had some conversations with people in New Orleans who were aware of it, but they weren't looking to put it on blast. There could be a world where the Saints put it out too, but I really believe that this is coming from Derek Carr because I think he is the one who isn't thrilled with the Saints at this point.
Gotcha.
Carr wanted out that badly, and they were planning to make a move for a new quarterback anyway. It could have been a better idea to let him go back in March. Mickey Loomis made his move by restructuring Carr's contract without his consent.
Yeah,
Carr
so
played
maybe there
Sam.
was like some clause in it that allowed the team to do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happens with him. Where would he go? Maybe Pittsburgh if Rodgers doesn't end up there. I don't see that really being a good fit for them either.
Yeah, I don't.
You know, I mean, it just, there's not a lot of dance partners at this point. You know, well, you going to go to the Giants and play with Russ and Jameis? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's the timing is messed up. It's like it's not good for anybody now.
Yeah. It's an off season. It's an off season shoulder injury,
Hmm.
but there's no information on how he hurt it.
Yeah, it's messed up.
But anyways, I could change things. I added offensive tackle and quarterback now to the Saints' needs with
Sure.
all this news, but
There we go. I just plugged them in too. Great choice, James. Great choice. Are you ready to put the Cleveland Browns on the clock?
Cleveland Browns.
They've got the first pick of the second round.
Oh, I flipped them in my head. So last week I was in Cleveland, and this week because I had them flipped in my
Oh,
head.
your background.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. I got
I
you. I
had them
got you.
flipped. I had them flipped. Okay, yeah, I'm ready to put Cleveland Browns on the clock.
All right. They are on the clock. Last week, leading into that, we said that they had needs at quarterback, offensive tackle, and edge. And despite all that, we gave them Travis Hunter at 2. And so they still have all 3 of those needs. You know, I'm sure they would love an edge guy to pair with, Myles Garrett. I don't know what they're going to ever do at quarterback because, the Watson situation, whatever. But yeah, I guess, you know, where do we go from here? And we got to keep in mind that we're basically on page 2 now of the best available, and we kind of got to like cross guys off as we're going here based off of last week. So
Yeah. So first quarterback at this spot, it's an incredible reach to go with the best available we have with just Tyler Show or Jalen
yeah,
Milrow. Like those guys are late second round picks at the
yeah,
earliest.
and I
I
do
think
like the appeal of Milrow, but man, he's so raw as a passer that it just
mhm.
yeah, you'd be taking some serious risk.
And then at offensive tackle, who do we have left?
Yeah, did we let's see, we already had Josh Simmons go. So we're looking at is did we have Connerly go too or no?
That's what I was wondering.
No, it looks like we still got Connerly on the board. We still got I mean it's a drop from there, holy cow. I mean it looks like it's Connerly or they're really reaching.
Yeah, I think that's where they would have to go.
That's their best value for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm. Would they
Because then,
do that? I mean they would because Stefanski likes running that play action offense. Let's
yeah,
let's
and
just do it. Let's plug them in.
also looking at it, Edge isn't a value pick here either.
No, no, they'd be reaching for edge too. You're right. So they're getting the right value at this spot, and they're filling a need. Josh Connerly Jr., which puts the Giants on the clock. They had needs at offensive line, cornerback, and quarterback, which we had them taking Armand Membo in the first round. But we do think they have more than one need on offensive line. So it's still pretty flexible in whatever direction they could go. Maybe one of these top guards, you name it.
So
I mean,
just
cornerback, they're getting value here.
yeah, I think this one is well. First of all, I think that th- if it's possible, they may trade this pick back to get back into the first round to get Shador. I think that's a possibility. I'm seeing a
Sure.
lot of smoke there. So if we're looking at cornerback,
Yeah, so you got Hairston off the board.
We
You've
have,
got Azarea Thomas is off the board. But it looks like Trey Amos is still out there. He would be the first guy available. I've been hearing a lot of buzz on Benjamin Morris out of Notre Dame climbing up the board.
mhm.
Um, you know, and then yeah, aside from that, they're really reaching. Um, they could go guard, man. With what they're doing.
But if you look at the, wait, did we have? I know we had Zabel.
Yeah, we had
We had Zabel. We had Booker.
yeah, you're right. So yeah, well, yes, Savanea, however you say his name, I don't know. I could see it, man. He's got some hype. That would be basically them saying we're going to just fortify the offensive line for either Jameis or Russ. I don't know. I don't know if the Giants would double down.
I don't think they would.
No, they'd probably go defense, right?
I think so.
Or do they go with one of these tight ends? Where are we at with the tight end situation? We did have Colston Loveland go in the first round. We had both Tyler Ward and Colston Loveland. All right, so you thinking, Trey Amos, however you say his name?
That's who I was leaning towards.
Let's pop him in, man. It's not flashy, but it's going to fill a need. Let's just do it. Boom. Takes us to the Tennessee Titans, who had a need at quarterback, edge, and wide receiver. They took a quarterback. I'm hearing we didn't have the guy from Ohio State go yet, Egbuka, right? I'm just looking. No, he's still out there, and we still have Jaden Higgins is still on the board. So I've been hearing a lot of hype about Egbuka being better than Jackson Smith and Jigba at Ohio State. And he's starting to climb up a lot of boards in this final week going to the draft. Whether they take him or not, I don't know. Um, you'd be pairing your rookie quarterback with a rookie wide receiver, and the goal is that they're going to develop some chemistry. Jaden Higgins, man, he's a big guy. Ooh, man, I kind of actually like that for Cam Ward. I mean, Ekbuka's not that small, though. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. It's still a stretch here to get the edge guy. Jordan Birch is the next guy there. 3-year starter, which is appealing, but I think it's one of these wide receivers, man.
I think it is too.
Do you get the big guy in Higgins for Cam Ward, or do you get the guy that maybe is a little bit more polished in Egbuka? Cam Ward is to me like a shotgun, like cannon kind of arm kind of guy. Maybe Jaden Higgins is the big target, is the better fit for him. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, we're plugging him in. Now we're on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had needs at offensive line, wide receiver, and cornerback. We had them going on defensive tackle last week. Mason Graham just too good to pass. So all three of their needs are still there. They could hypothetically jump down right now and take Egbuka at wide receiver and plug one of these needs. Um, I do believe offensive line is the priority for them, especially because they're still sticking with Trevor Lawrence and he hasn't had shit to protect him. Um, but, everything's on the table. Cornerback, everything, right at this spot. Wide receiver gives them the best value. If they jump down, you're talking Benjamin Morris at cornerback. You're talking, Savanea at guard, which is actually a really good pick, but, they're reaching a little bit for him. And I do like that he played multiple positions in college. That gives him some flexibility. Typically you and I would prefer to stack the trenches first before getting a wide receiver.
Yeah, typically I don't know here.
Wow, very indecisive.
Like they're gonna do something stupid and go running back.
I mean, they could go tight end, right? Because Evan Ingram's gone. You got Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. And to them, they're like, oh, well, we're getting our receiver because the tight end can catch. That would be a very much Jacksonville kind of a thing to do. But,
I feel like they go trenches here. I think they go with Savanaya.
all right, let's plug him in.
However the fuck you pronounce
Jonah
that.
Savanaya. Yes. I don't even know how to spell it, but we'll get the point when we see it.
Savaina.
Yes, sure. Yeah, blah, 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 I got it. All right, so the Raiders are on the clock. Running back, wide receiver, cornerback. We had them landing Genty in the first round, which, goddamn, that's a Pete Carroll fit if it works out that way. I don't know if it will.
So
Wide
I'm
receiver,
actually
cornerback.
reading a lot of smoke there with
Okay,
them going with Genty in the first round.
gotcha. So, they brought in Geno. They really don't have a ton of weapons for him. Would they go Egbuka and give him his wide receiver, or does Pete Carroll try building his Legion of Boom and maybe go Benjamin Morris?
So I do like the thought of them going cornerback here, but I think Egbuka fits into the scheme that they're going to run. And that's where
Okay,
I'm torn on it.
let's plug him in, dude. Let's just plug him in. Um, if they had like a real wide receiver one, I would maybe argue against it because they went running back in the first round. But you have Geno, you need to give him somebody to throw to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they got a great tight end. Egbuka comes in, gives him a wide receiver. You pair him with what's his face from New England a few years back, and um, now you kind of got like the semblance of an offense at that point. Like you could win with offense hypothetically, and then Pete Carroll needs to find some guys like a Richard Sherman type later in the draft and start like working his magic on the defense later in the draft. I like that. Let's do that here. Which takes us to the Patriots. And so New England drafted an edge guy in the first round, Abdul Carter. So they still have needs at offensive line and wide receiver. This is kind of a little bonus for the Raiders, right? Because they just kind of like jumped them on wide receiver. So offensive line and wide receiver at this stage, I got to pull them up on lineups because you know, I don't know that they're going to reach too far if they don't have to, because they've had a lot of needs.
Yeah. And like I was looking at it, look I did a quick look at it, and I think a lot of players here are a stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they could hypothetically go like a best available guy like Kenneth Grant, right? And just like load up on that defensive line for Vrabel. I could see him doing something like that. Um, let's see, where are they at on the defensive line? They got Barmore. He's good. He's not great. Man, I don't know. They could do that. They could legitimately do that. I know Vrabel's a big defensive tackle fan. Um, and their defensive line is kind of weak right now. If they don't want to reach, he's their best guy available. And he's a big hoss, 6'4", 331, man. Disruptive run defender, quick first step, blah, blah, blah. You know, I like it for a Vrabel team, but, you know, if you're seeing someone else, tell me your thoughts here, man. Don't stress too hard. This is supposed to be fun, homie.
No, I know. I'm just looking at it, and
I mean, would they want to go, you know, Luther Burden or Jalen Noel at wide receiver? Because I mean, they are bare. Well, no, they brought in who'd they bring in? Diggs.
yeah, you're right. They did bring in. Yeah, they brought in Diggs.
So they're not
So
desperate, but they do need kind of like a long-term developmental guy.
so I just kind of looked at some mock drafts.
Sure. I mean, I like the Kenneth Grant pick unless you're seeing somebody that stands out.
Yeah, I'm not really. I think that it feels like a Vrabel pick, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, so basically we're saying first round. Oh shit, they went defense first round. That's right. Oh no. It would almost make them desperate to go after an offensive lineman here, but they don't want to reach. Oh man, this kind of puts them in a bind, right? Because Kenneth
It
Grant is
does.
definitely the best pick. If they got to go offensive lineman, you're going down to 56 available with Trapilo out of Boston College. Man, that guy's massive, fucking 6'8". Or Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State, who is also climbing up the draft board from what I've been hearing. Um,
So, but that's the
but they'd
thing
be
is
reaching.
where I was going. Like the people in the know have him going with Arianate Ursary.
All right, it's an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So
So I
Donovan Jackson is not really that crazy of a pick for them. I have a hard time believing they'll go defense back to back when they know they got to protect Drake May.
Where are you seeing Donovan Jackson?
59. Where are you seeing your guy?
Uh, he's 66. I don't
Okay.
even see Donovan Jackson on my list of fucking offensive. Are you? Oh, guard. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Donovan Jackson, but you know, if you're convicted on one of these other offensive linemen, we can talk about it.
I'm not. I think they need have enough of a need on offensive line that like I think if
All
they
right,
didn't go, if we didn't
let's
have them
plug in
with,
Jackson.
if we didn't have them with Edge in the first round, I don't think
Yeah,
they would reach. But I think we kind of painted them into the corner to need to reach there.
we did it. We did it to them. We did it to them. Yes. And that's okay. That's okay because Membo got taken before them. And I mean, when you're looking at it, the next guy went 13, Will Campbell. They could have taken Will Campbell at 4, but whatever. You going to pass on Abdul Carter? No, we didn't think so. So, Chicago Bears, these sons of bitches got 2 of the next 3 picks. They drafted a running back in Omarion Hampton in the first round. And so they still have needs at offensive tackle and wide receiver. Dude, these sons of bitches are just like in the catbird seat. You know, take a wide receiver, take a fucking lineman. You know, they're going to do both.
So here's the thing with them now. I
Or I
think
guess maybe they go Kenneth Grant because let's look at their roster.
I think they go offensive tackle here because of the need that's now been created with the Saints needing an offensive tackle. So they're not gonna
Not going to wait.
wait. That's just how I feel, what I'm feeling on it, and it's just a matter of which offensive tackle. Because right now they have their pick of the remaining offensive tackles. I think the Saints either in the first round or here go offensive tackle. And it depends. If the Saints do trade back in the first round and get a quarterback, then then they'll definitely go offensive tackle. If they don't, then they're probably there's a 50-50 proposition here. But I think the Saints are gonna have to in the first 2 rounds address their quarterback situation.
So who's your guy here? The Boston College dude or the Ursery guy that you were talking about out of Minnesota? He started 1 game at tight tackle in 2020. I think they need right tackle.
I thought they needed left.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking for a lot getting a left tackle in the second round.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're right. You're
Trapilo
100%
did
right.
start at left tackle in 22.
They need a right. They don't need a left because they have Fuaga at left. I'm sorry, that's the Saints. I skipped ahead of team.
I think Chicago just needs bodies, and they got to figure out where they're going to be best.
So their left tackle is Braxton Jones. Their right tackle is Darnell Wright. I think it's going to be it'll be Trapilo.
Okay. Ozzy. Then New Orleans. Edge, cornerback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, quarterback. We had them take a cornerback in the first round, which it's hard to go back on now, right? Because that would have affected everything we did last week. But the quarterbacks at this stage are probably not the greatest. The offensive linemen at this stage, you're going to your Ursery guy. Edge, you're going Jordan Birch. That's their best value. I mean, man, it sucks, right? Like, to me, you're a shitty team. You have shitty options. Don't go fucking reaching like crazy and be idiots. Take the value and get Jordan Birch.
I can go with that.
Let's just do it, man. We're going to be the voice of reason for them because they're fucked no matter what. They're fucked no matter what.
Well, they
I
don't
mean, I
have a
guess
voice of
whatever
reason.
fuzziness going on with Derek Carr, that'll like shed some light on it. But yeah, now we're back to Chicago. As tempted as I would be to plug them in a wide receiver, they do still have a solid 1-2 punch
Hmm.
plus tight ends. I think the value of Kenneth Grant is getting too good to pass up here.
I can't argue with you there.
All right, let's plug him in because honestly, Kenneth Grant with the rest of those guys on that defensive line, Montez Sweat, Adenigbo, you're starting to look at like, okay, you have a formidable trench on the defensive side of the ball now. Um, I think that's really smart for Chicago if they did that. Which then we're to the Jets, and the Jets, historically have made dumb choices, but it's a new era, and they just got sniped on the Kenneth Grant pick, but they do have a need at defensive tackle. We had them taking Jalen Walker at edge in the first round, so we're looking at defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and safety.
I think the value here for them is the safety
Okay.
with Malachi Starks.
Out of Georgia.
Or even Xavier Watts. Like Xavier Watts isn't the value. I think Malachi Starks is decent value there. If you looking at defensive tackle, I think it's it's right around on there.
Let me just pull up their lineups real quick so we can just be a little more educated about their options. They do still have Quinnen Williams, so they're pretty solid at defensive tackle. They're more needing edge help, which we gave them in round 1. Yeah, safety is definitely the spot, I think. And Aaron Glenn had, good safeties. He's a former defensive back himself. I like that. And so you're thinking Arroyo? I'm sorry, Malachi Starks?
I'm open to either of them here.
Well, I mean, Arroyo was a tight end. I just was looking at the wrong spot.
No, yeah, I'm thinking Starks because Xavier Watts would be a little bit of a reach here. The other guys like.
Yeah, let's plug in Stark, man.
All right, then brings us to San Francisco, who we had needs coming into the draft at cornerback, guard, defensive tackle. So then that's another good one for Chicago and sniping Kenneth Grant from both the Jets and the 49ers. In the first round, we had them taking cornerback Will Johnson.
Yeah.
So that leaves offensive guard and defensive tackle. So
all right,
first,
you got TJ Sanders at defensive tackle.
It's not too bad. And then offensive guard, we're on to.
Yeah, you're running a little bit before you get to the next guy at guard.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they'd maybe be looking at like, could you get Jared Wilson at center and then just shuffle some people on the line around to fill it that way?
But I still think that's a little bit of a reach there.
I do too. I do too. And this is like the thinnest we've seen their defensive line in a long time. I have no problem going Darius Alexander, not overthinking it, or TJ Sanders, whichever one. I guess let's look at the two profiles real quick. So Alexander, small school, better pass rusher than his 9 sacks would suggest.
So I think Alexander is the pick here because TJ Sanders is more of a run defender, and based on their division, they need more of a pass defender.
All right, Alexander it is, man. Bada bing, bada boom. We're moving on to the Dallas Cowboys.
So Dallas, we had offensive line, linebacker, running back,
And they took
and
an
in the
edge guy in the first round. Offensive line is not lining up for them.
no, not at all.
Linebacker's really not lining up that well for him here either, right? Unless I'm missing
Running
somebody.
back
Same
is
with
lining up for them here.
Judkins?
No, we didn't have Travion Henderson picked.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, would they do that? Zeke 2.0? I mean, you gotta put the school aside. They're totally different style runners. Honestly, Henderson could fit that offense with Dak better. You know,
Yeah,
I think Zeke early on was good for that offense. Henderson could be an evolved version of like a receiver out of the backfield and whatnot that they weren't getting out of Zeke. And so I kind of like that. They did bring in two running backs in free agency, but they need the right guy long term. Um, I'm game, dude. I'm game. Let's put him
yeah,
in.
I think that lines up well for them.
Okay.
And we have the Colts, who re-signed Mo Alley Cox this past week. So keeping that in mind, we had interior
Oh, we had
offensive
him. We had
line
him lock up Tyler Warren in the
linebacker
first round.
tight end. We had Tyler Warren, tight end in the first round. I still like that pick. I was
Yeah.
just saying. So interior offensive line, like none of the needs line up here
Yeah.
for
Let me
them.
pull up their lineups to see where else they could get better value. They're not going running back. Um, I mean, wide receiver. They got Pittman Jr. Aside from him, I could see them looking for help. They do have Josh Downs and Alex Pierce, but I don't agree that they're an 80 and a 75 respectively like lineups has them. Tight end we already addressed. Offensive line, they're still pretty fucking solid. Defense, man, they're pretty good across the defense unless you want to maybe look at edge to give them a little help there or linebacker. Um, or I guess they could go safety. I guess for them, you're kind of looking at best available, right? Best available minus like a running back or like an obvious thing that they've already got filled. So we already gave him a tight end, so it's not going to be Arroyo.
I'm going to throw somebody out there, and don't hate me on this.
I'm not hating.
Tyler Show.
Uh, you'd go three-way quarterback competition.
It's just
I think it only works if they're going to trade or cut Anthony Richardson.
yeah.
And honestly, if you paired him with Daniel Jones, I'd be fine with that because you're basically saying, hey, Danny Dimes, we're going to let you start a half a dozen games, and then this guy's going to come in and take over. But they got to get rid of Richardson. Otherwise, that's like a really fucked up group of quarterbacks, man.
It is a really fucked up group of quarterbacks. I just like if they truly go best available, that's where they're looking.
Yeah, and if they pass on him, I mean, they're really probably not needing TJ. Well, they definitely don't need TJ Sanders.
Yeah.
Um, they don't need. I mean, maybe they go Benjamin Morris, but they don't really need that. Oh my gosh, man. Um,
Another option here
you'd
for
be looking
them
at a wide receiver, man.
would, yeah, so Trey Harris. That's who I was just gonna.
I mean, honestly, this just my opinion here. I kind of like the idea of going wide receiver instead of another quarterback because, to me, it's like, okay, give these guys another weapon to throw to. And, if they fail and neither one of them steps up to be the man and you're in the quarterback market next year, at least now you have a clear 1-2 punch at wide receiver with a great third option at tight end.
Hmm.
And so you'd be bringing in a rookie potentially next year into kind of like what Caleb Williams got last year, where it's like, hey, the guy's coming in with a really solid chance to develop early. And so I like that. And so you're saying
I do
you're
like that
so you're
too.
saying Trey Harris, or who did you say?
I said Trey Harris. I'd be open to
Yeah, because we already got Higgins off and Igbuka. So yeah, we're looking at Trey
Trey
Harris.
Harris or Luther Burden.
Burton is 6 foot 206. They're 6'2". Man.
So Harris is more of a possession
Which
where,
is Pittman, right?
which,
So if you
yeah.
compliment him, then
So you
Burton's
want
your guy.
exactly.
I like it. I like our collaboration. And that
All right.
takes us to the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons. We had edge, center, linebacker. We had them drafting edge guy in the first round with Shamar Stewart. Um, Center and linebacker don't really line up here, so they're going to go quarterback. Quarterback.
Are you fucking with me right
I'm
now?
fucking with you.
Obviously, you're fucking with me. I mean, cornerback, I guess I could see.
Yeah, that's
Let's pull up their lineups roster. Yeah, because they're obviously, Penix is their guy, Bijan's their guy at running back. They got wide receivers and a tight end. Yeah, center, but you'd be kind of reaching here. It wouldn't hurt them to double down on edge, but there's not really a guy right here. Same with linebacker. I mean, they've been looking for a running mate to go with AJ Terrell for a long time. And they could also use a safety. So it's safety probably gives them the better value, right? Because you'd be looking at, oh, actually, no, Benjamin Morris.
yeah, Morrison.
Yeah, Morrison, sorry. Yeah, Benjamin Morrison.
Yeah, I think I that's where I was landing.
Let's plug him in. Benjamin is the Espanol something would say, I guess. I don't know what I'm even saying right now.
Nobody knows what you're saying right now. Then we have Arizona.
Michter's nose. Oh.
Offensive line, wide receiver, cornerback is what we had. We had them taking a wide receiver in the first round, so you're looking at offensive lineman or cornerback. Atlanta kind of sniped the cornerback pick here.
Yeah, so it's like maybe a best available kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't need another tight end. They don't need um man. So it all right, at defensive tackle, TJ Sanders is still out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just pulling up their lineups because they definitely need help on defense. It's just where. I mean, they need help at defensive tackle. You've got Calais Campbell and Delvin Tomlinson. Calais Campbell, he goes inside and outside. He's probably more inside at this stage of his career, but um, oh man, I mean, honestly, you bring in a defensive tackle, you're maybe giving Calais Campbell an opportunity to get more snaps on the outside at this stage of his career. But the problem is they really need edge better. They did sign Josh Sweat. He's probably going to be their edge guy.
You know what? I completely messed up because I forgot. We still have. No, we don't. Never mind.
They
No,
they
we don't.
definitely could use help at cornerback too, because all they've got is Murphy Bunting. So
Yeah,
if
but the cornerback here is a stretch.
you're going Darian Porter, that's not that far. Darian Porter, Siobhan Ravel. I don't
Former
think they're
wide.
going defensive tackle. I don't think, I
I
liked
don't.
it at first, but I don't think they're going defense.
I don't think they go Darian Porter. He's. I don't like Darian Porter as a prospect
Sure.
because at Iowa State it took him a couple years to even start when he switched from wide receiver.
All right,
He's
but so
fast.
yeah, but I mean, look at what they're saying. Outstanding arm length and recovery speed to develop into an elite press corner. So, if he's coming in behind Murphy Bunting, maybe that's something that what's his face, Gannon or whatever
Yeah.
can work with.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to, say maybe, but you're looking Ravel Jr. is maybe what, like a little more day one ready?
Yeah, and that's kind of
Well, he
where
tore the ACL in September though.
I just saw that.
Let's do Darian Porter, man. I know you're not thrilled with it, but he's going to be a two with potential in time to develop into a one. That's
Okay.
pretty good for a second round pick, man. And we got a little run going on cornerbacks.
Well, it's going to stop right here. So,
All right, all right. Tell me
all
about
right.
it.
So Miami offensive line, defensive tackle, linebacker. We had them picking where the
Will
fuck are?
Campbell. They jizzed their pants that he fell to them in the first round, but they
Yeah,
probably need more help at offensive line.
probably, but it's more of value that fits a need
Yeah.
with TJ Sanders.
You're thinking defensive tackle, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I like spreading the love, man. I like spreading the love.
Okay.
So, yeah, so then we got Cincy's up next. Offensive line, cornerback, defensive back. They did take Kelvin Banks Jr. at offensive tackle, and they are very desperate on defense in many positions. So, where do they go? Or they just say fuck it and they go Mason Taylor at tight end and they're just saying, nope, we're just going to win entirely with fucking offense.
So I see them more being defensive focused in this draft. Like I like because it happened to fall to him taking the offensive tackle in the first round. But I see them going very defensive heavy because that's the only way their defense is going to be worth anything this year. Like, they're not going to win games scoring 60 points a game because
I
they're
mean, they
going to
do need a
allow
running
80.
back. Maybe Judkins. All right, so then what are you thinking? Norman Lott at defensive tackle?
See, I was working through it.
I mean, if I'm going to lineups and I'm looking at them, they do need help at every level on defense. But we could try to like narrow it down and see if something gives you the best value. Defensive tackle, they got BJ Hill. That's it. Trey Hendrickson, maybe he's there, maybe he's gone at edge. They got Asai and Campbell or Sample at edge. Linebacker, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt. They're actually we probably don't need to look at linebacker for them. They need help at cornerback. They need help at safety. I mean, it's,
So, ironically, the best value here for them is looking like it's
the tight end
cornerback.
or the running back. Yeah, so you think maybe they roll the dice on Ravel Jr. and hope he's coming back? Or are we going to let him slide down the board? If we let him slide down the board, you're looking at Xavier Watts, in which case maybe Norman Lott at defensive tackle's their guy.
Or Oluwafemi
At
Oladejo.
edge? Ooh, actually, yeah, fuck, man. Because of the Hendrickson thing?
I think I'm going to say they'd go edge here with Olu.
He's an ascending player. Let's take him, dude. Let's take him.
Since he's from UCLA, a little tidbit about UCLA. Did you hear the shit that happened with NIL? And I don't know the guy's name, Nico whatever, the quarterback for Tennessee.
Dude, I'm hearing all sorts of shit about NIL and how it's fucking up college football, dude.
Okay, so the quarterback for Tennessee apparently wanted more money in his NIL deal.
Yeah.
And what's his face?
Oh, and what, he couldn't get a sponsorship? Because I saw a thing about a dude had his NIL deal and got like another fucking $2.5 million from like boosters or some shit.
And I forget the coach at Tennessee's name, but basically said nobody's bigger than UT. So you know what? Bye.
Yeah.
So apparently he only got interest from UCLA, Tulane, and North Carolina.
Okay.
And Tulane and North Carolina fell off, so he ends up at UCLA. So he goes from a playoff team to a team that averaged 18 points last season.
Dude, all right. I
killed himself for next year's draft because he was in line for a high draft pick. He's a prominent position. Now he's going off into obscurity.
Okay, let me just explain this, and then I want to get back to our mock draft. Duke fucking signed a guy, Darian Mensah, 2 years, $8 million. Okay, fucking Jameis Winston, a former #1 overall pick in the draft, is on a 1-year, $4 million deal with the Giants. This is going to totally fuck up the dynamics of college football, potentially leading into pro football, when you have a team like Duke being able to pay a guy $4 million a year at quarterback, man. Sorry, that just pisses me off, man.
That's why they're working on, and actually in Congress, a bill that's going to give a salary cap for overall NIL payments that a college can pay. Anyways, we're on to Seattle.
Okay. Who have 2 picks coming up.
Yes.
2 out of the next 3.
interior offensive line, safety, wide receiver is what we had them picking or
Yep.
had them needing. We had them pick a wide receiver in the first round, so you're looking possibly safety, possibly interior offensive line here.
Yeah, I mean, I do like them going after the Xavier Watts thing, right? They got a defensive-minded head coach who had like spoils of riches in the secondary when he was with Baltimore. Um, you're reaching down just a little bit to get him, but what are you seeing, man? What are you thinking? I mean, they got fucking nobody at safety now. I mean, they still got Julian Love, but a little Notre Dame to Notre Dame love, by the way. Julian Love, Notre Dame.
No, I like it.
All right, let's plug him in. Safety, yes, Xavier Watts.
Brings us to Denver, wide receiver, defensive tackle, running back. We had them picking defensive tackle in the first round, Derek Harmon. So running back or wide receiver possibly here.
Or could they be the team that they go tight end? Because Sean Payton's crazy about his tight ends. I know they brought in Evan Ingram, but you've got Arroyo and you've got Mason Taylor. And I know Mason Taylor is climbing boards. He's got the NFL bloodline with his dad and his uncle. And I don't want to go crazy here, but I do think Mason Taylor could be a huge appeal for him at this spot. And I know that they're also wanting to address the running back position in the draft. And so, you could see him maybe looking at a guy like Judkins or somebody else as well at this stage. So I'll shut my mouth up for a minute.
No, I didn't think of tight end. I like the tight end pick here.
He'd be playing a two tight end thing.
Remind me, who did they sign?
Evan Ingram. He's hurt a lot, but when he plays, he can still move. But would they want the young guy in Mason Taylor to maybe be their somewhat Taysom Hillish kind of guy? He had 100 receptions, 1,000 yards at LSU. Catches the ball in stride, hits top ends quickly. To me, it's like, man, I don't know how he passes on him unless he's really, unless he's like one of these running backs like Judkins is jumping off the page at him, because he wants another running back to go with what's his face, the rookie from last year.
So I was comparing the two tight ends, and I think Mason Taylor might be a safer pick. Elijah Arroyo is rated higher, but
yeah, I think Taylor's flying up the boards, man.
Yeah, but also Arroyo has a history of knee injuries, which is concerning to me. Outside of that, they seem like they're the same player.
Okay.
So I'd go Mason Taylor.
Done.
So brings us to Seattle and needing interior offensive line.
Yes, or we can look at what else do they need. We locked up safety. They're fucking solid at cornerback. They could use help at, I don't know, linebacker's not bad for them. Defensive tackle, they definitely need fucking help at.
So
offensive line for sure they could use a boost. I would say defensive tackle's a big need at this spot for them, but just trying to give you other options as we're looking at the board.
So that gives us. So I was looking at it as you were saying it. I was going back and looking at position and what the best available here is that fits one of their needs, and that's going into defensive tackle.
Yeah. Do you want the
Um,
big hoss and Alfred Collins, or do you want maybe the guy that's a little more versatile in Norman Lott? I don't really know what McDonald wants, to be honest. To me, I would think he would want the Norman Lott guy, but maybe he wants that massive fucking just guy that plugs the fucking line, man. I don't know.
okay,
I
so we're
mean,
we're talking about Seattle still, and this is a
yeah,
pass heavy
yeah. Well, if it's a
division.
pass heavy division, then yeah, they're probably looking at the Norman Lott guy. I mean, they do got to stop. They got to stop Kyron Williams. Or no, what? Yeah, no, Kyron Williams, McCaffrey, and
Connor.
James Conner. So I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't know. Yeah,
you could go
that's.
either way on the defensive tackles here.
I think Norman Lott is a little bit more versatile.
Let's plug him in. Boom, Norman Lott, Tampa Bay.
Interior offensive line, edge, linebacker. We had them taking linebacker Jihad Campbell in the first round. So edge, interior offensive line.
Man, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at Judkins, but at the same time, they got Bucky Irving and Rashad White. That combo's been good for them last year. They do need a succession plan for Mike Evans at some point. They're good at tight end with Cade Otton. I'm just trying to see who else is there so you can maybe find somebody that's better value for them, right? Oh, man.
Yeah, because interior offensive line isn't a value here.
They're they're in a tough spot here in the second round. Unless they want to go wide receiver, you know. If you go
What about tight end here?
and pair them with Kate, I mean, I guess my whole thing is I know that they're huge on Kate
I
Otten.
forgot about I forgot about Kate Otten. Okay, no, that's fine. I completely forgot about Kate Otten when
I mean, there's
when I
nothing
said
wrong
that.
with doubling down, but I know they like him a lot. Um, I mean, fucking Carson Schwessinger to start succeeding at linebacker. That's like their best value, right? Because Levante David's he's done in a year now. Hassan Reddick's a 1 year deal. Do
Let's
you have
go
a
back to wide
defensive?
receiver.
The other thing is maybe you go Jack Beck out of TCU, or who else am I missing at wide receiver?
Jalen Knoll.
Oh yeah, Iowa State. He's a small little burner. Impressive Senior Bowl week.
I think Jack Beck.
A little bigger.
A little bigger.
Also,
Most people.
Senior Bowl MVP. Let's plug him in. Boom. Wide
Yeah.
receiver.
I don't think Jalen Noel fits where their offense is going.
It's fine.
All right,
Agree
then we
the
have
Packers.
the fucking Packers. Center, linebacker, defensive
Oh,
line.
I mean, I'm just going to call it right now. They're taking Jarrett Wilson if he falls to him at this spot.
I agree.
That's a perfect fucking Green Bay. Our guy fell to us where we wanted him.
Chargers, D-line, running back, tight end. They took tight end in the first round. So we're looking
Would
at
he take Judkins and have his fucking workhorse?
that's right where I was thinking.
He's a Michigan man, but would he do it? Or would he be looking at Caleb Johnson or Cam Scatterbo? Scatterbo's been climbing fast in recent weeks.
Yeah.
Judkins, I think, is the best, not just because they have him higher best available. In my opinion, I think he's got the
Oh,
higher
fuck.
ceiling and he's a fucking bruiser of a back.
I like Scatterbo.
Because of the receiving ability.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're getting, what's his face back with the Chargers.
Eckler?
Yeah, Eckler. I could see his face in my head, and I'm like, oh, he's on the fucking Commanders now.
Yeah. I kind of like Scatterbo to go there. I think Harbaugh would like the versatility. I don't
Yeah,
think
and he doesn't
Harbaugh
want an Ohio State guy. Come on.
wants a Ohio State guy. Okay, so Buffalo, we had cornerback, safety, defensive tackle.
And they have 2 picks in the second round. Just pointing
Had
that
them
out.
take cornerback in the first round. They also re-signed Tre'Davious White this week.
Okay.
So I think we're looking at defensive tackle here. That's going to be the first spot we look and see where we are. So that's Collins.
We could be. But let me just, before we get off of Judkins, point out that there's a lot of fucking talk about tension between them and Cook at running back. And there's been talk about maybe they're going to just get another guy because they don't want to pay him. Him and Judkins are 2 different styles, big time.
But I think if they go running back, I would say they'd go with Caleb Johnson versus Judkins because of the offense they run there.
Well, no, I hear what you're saying. I was looking at a guy like Judkins is like you could have them both for a year and use them both in different packages because now you got like your fucking hammer and your speed guy, but then you're really looking at 3 running backs because you got Josh Allen. So
Yeah.
all right, so
Judkins,
going back to
Johnson.
before the running back thing, what were you
No,
looking at?
I was looking at defensive tackle, and I didn't like the defensive tackles here because they're not.
They do still have Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, plus they brought in Larry Ogunjobi, so it's not like a desperate thing for them.
So
even though we put it on there.
So looking at
safety, I would have a higher priority. What are we looking at safety wise? Or are we not looking safety now?
So safety wise, we're looking at.
I guess we got to go to the 3rd or the 4th page.
Winston.
Jalen Reed, Penn State. Where's Winston at?
Winston is 69.
Oh, so he's better than what I'm at. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Kevin Winston out of Penn State. Downhill runner. I mean, I would prefer to do that because it's such a big need for them. And they're in a position where it's kind of like abnormal for them, but they kind of need to go after a need right than best available right now. By the way, are the only two guys left on our first page or on the second page Arroyo and Jalen Noel?
Let me take a look.
Or did we have Trey Harris? Trey Harris maybe still there too.
No, Trey Harris is gone. Arroyo, Tyler Show.
Oh yeah. All right.
And Arroyo, Show, and Noel.
Yeah, I forgot about show. Let me push my page down to right there. Boom. Okay. Because these guys are sliding, but I don't have a lot of conviction that they're going to go this high as their best available spots. All right, so what are you thinking for Buffalo? I mean, I like the Winston Jr. thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Boom. Carolina, come on, raise up. All right, so they took an edge in the first round, Michael Williams, and they still
And
have a
wide
need at
receiver
wide
and
receiver and
center.
center. I gotta believe they're going wide receiver here.
Yeah.
And you have a wide receiver. You said you said Trey Harris we took off?
I thought we did.
No, we didn't take him off. He's not on my board. So Trey Harris or Jalen Noel. Trey Harris is the big guy.
It was
Jalen
Trey
Noel's the
Amos.
burner.
Trey Amos. I got that's what I.
Yeah,
Right.
and then who did they draft last year? Didn't they draft a bigger guy last year? Let's just look it up real quick. Was it Xavier Leggett last year, or who the hell was it?
I thought Leggett was. Yeah, Leggett was last year.
Okay.
I was thinking Leggett was the year before.
And he was a bigger dude, right? 6'3", 227. Dude, I would say plug in Jalen Noel and give him the compliment. I'm just doing it. I don't care if you like it or not.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Houston. I mean, holy shit. They need help on the offensive line. And we had them taking a defensive tackle. So, are they desperate now for offensive line, or are they going to go wide receiver and maybe take the jump on Trey Harris to pair him with Nico Collins?
So here's the thing. If Trey Harris is available here, I have to believe that they don't pass on him.
And they threw a bunch of bodies on the offensive line, so maybe they're hoping they can make it work.
I have to believe that they're not passing on Trey Harris there.
All right. Boom.
All right. Then Baltimore edge, offensive line, safety. We had them take edge in the first round. Have to believe that they go.
I mean, their needs don't line up at all at this point, which is kind of problematic for them.
So let's pull up the lineups and tell me what their need is. Remind me of
where else they could go otherwise. Yeah.
Even on offensive line. Where is their need?
I mean, would you go Judkins to succeed Derrick Henry? Probably not, but I'm just putting it out
No.
there to put a little something in your mouth, to wet your beak while we're looking. Wide receiver, they brought in Hopkins, they got Zay Flowers,
No.
Bateman. I know they
Offensive
like
line.
I
Go
know
to
they
the
like Zay
offensive line.
Flowers and Rashad Bateman, but
They have what's his face at left tackle? Who's the right tackle?
um right tackle, no, they definitely need help at right tackle. I mean, I'm not even sure who on this list is going to play right tackle for them because they're all 67s. But who do you have on offensive line at this stage that could step in?
Well, I was thinking possibly Ursary, but Ursary's more of a left tackle. Next, next
Mm,
at on the offensive line for tackle, you have Cameron Williams, who's a developmental right tackle, and I can't believe that you have a developmental right tackle in the second round. So then we're possibly looking.
yeah, but couldn't Ursary move to right tackle? It's a lot easier for a left tackle to move to right tackle than the other way around. And if he's falling to the second round, I gotta believe teams are either planning on starting him at right tackle or he's just purely gonna be a developmental left tackle guy.
So the thing with Ursary, and it's telling to me that he started one game at right tackle, and they instantly moved him to left tackle.
Okay, so he's not the guy.
Yeah, it's just something doesn't sit right with him going to right tackle.
Yeah, and they're not going to take a running back because they got Justice Hill, which is their complement to Derrick Henry. They're not going to groom a guy to replace Derrick Henry. So, I'm just wanting Judkins to find a home here soon. Um, damn. All right, so who else were you looking at?
So then, if we're looking at guard who could develop into possibly play right tackle, but he's probably going to move inside M is Bo Marcus Bo.
Yeah, or Purdue,
Yeah.
sorry. Started 18 games at right tackle the last 2 years. Yep, a little bit short arms, but yeah, let's just plug them in, man. They need help there. Let's just do it.
All right, then we're on to the Lions.
Oh shit.
Edge, guard, defensive tackle. We had them take Zabel at guard in the first round, so you're looking at edge or defensive tackle possibly.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm, hmm.
so then at edge, we're talking possibly Scorton. At defensive tackle, we're talking possibly. Oh
Still got Norman Lott. Oh wait, did we plug in
no,
Norman Lott? No,
we
we
have
already plugged in Norman Lott, right? Oh yeah,
Collins,
yeah. Sorry,
Alfred
I didn't
Collins.
minimize him. Sorry. Alfred Collins, massive. Joshua Farmer, not far down. 2 year starter. Um, Edge is Scorton at this stage. I would rather have one of the defensive tackles than the edge guy here.
All right, I'm reading.
Bursary we're shutting down because we're not. They got Tyleek Williams at Ohio State.
All right, so just read the description of Collins. I actually might like this pick. Collins is a massive and versatile defensive lineman with excellent length. He can line up anywhere along the defensive line. He stacks tackles, guards, and centers. He tracks the ball well, sheds blockers, and splits some double teams. Collins has some upside as a pass rusher, too, and he's at his best when he shoots his hands and works off his punch. He's a powerful edge
Sold.
rusher.
Sold. Sold. Washington. They took an edge guy in the first round, so cornerback or safety. Or
So
something else.
safety is a little bit of a reach here because you're dropping down to Jalen Reed, who's 87th overall. Cornerback, let me see, we're on to Ravel.
Yeah, he didn't get taken yet. That could be, that's actually a value pick at this stage. So
I like it.
I just want to look at their roster real quick. Oh man, so he'd be with Lattimore and James or Jonathan Jones. I like that because you're talking about a guy coming off an injury with upside, right? So that's a good value pick and it's a good spot for him. It's kind of like a match made in heaven. So Siobhan Ravel Jr. Okay, back to Buffalo, man. They got their safety. They got their cornerback. Do they go defensive tackle here and just get the trio on defense?
I want to go back to running back for them.
Okay.
And I think this running back would fit what they want to do offensively. Catches the ball out of the backfield. He's quick on tape. He doesn't need much of a seam to split defenders between the tackles. Lowers his shoulder and delivers the blow at the point of contact.
Okay.
Catches the ball well for the most part, and is a threat after the catch. Competitive pass blocker who tracks linebackers and works through traffic to get into position.
Caleb Johnson.
But Quinshawn, oh fuck! Which one do you want here? Do you want Judkins or Johnson?
They also have Ray Davis, right? So
I think I'd like Judkins here, and hear me out. I know Josh Allen likes to run the ball. But I think Judkins is
they would have to trade fucking James Cook. Don't you think? He would pitch a fit, wouldn't he?
and that's the thing. I think
Do you maybe go wide receiver? You know what else are we missing here for Buffalo? Because I think that they got this standoff with James Cook, but they're going to ultimately give him a contract. And if they don't, they're like, oh well, we're going to make him play out the year, and we still have Ray Davis, and so, But at wide receiver, I mean, they did bring in Joshua Palmer. I forgot about that. Because Keon Coleman's developing. I was just thinking he needs a running mate, but they're giving him one, and they still have Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel. So no, they're fine there. Fuck, man, I don't know. I don't know what you do for defensive tech. I mean, they're all right at defensive tech. I don't know what you do for these guys, man. Maybe you do go Judkins and you just say, fuck you, figure it out.
Well, see, where I was thinking on it is Quentin Judkins would be a good pick for them here.
Yeah.
Because he's enough of a different running back.
Yeah.
Than James Cook that Cook wouldn't truly have much to bitch about.
Yeah, you'd be saying, no, we're Detroit Lionsing you guys. We're giving a 1-2 punch that is going to be envious in our fucking division. I like it. Let's go Judkins.
All right. Then we have the cheating Chiefs. Offensive line, defensive tackle, wide receiver. We gave them an offensive line in the first round. So possibly defensive tackle, possibly wide receiver. So I don't like Jalen Royals.
Okay.
Or
Or let me just float it. Let me just float it. Tyler Shogue. No, I'm just kidding. Would they maybe go Arroyo and start preparing for post Kelsey? You're getting a lot of value here.
I'd like that.
I'm saying, I don't know. They probably wouldn't do it. I'm just throwing it out there. Because they still need help at wide receiver. So, I guess who are the options? Arroyo's an option. Who else do we have as an option?
So the next best wide receiver, which is a little bit of a not that much of a stretch,
Royals.
Is Royals, but Royals is more of a developmental wide receiver. So you're really looking at Isaiah Bond, who is a deep ball threat,
which they like. Traits to develop into an outstanding route runner. Bama transfer.
The thing with Isaiah Bond, and I'm not talking shit about him. I'm not saying anything about the situation that happened because I don't know enough about it.
Sure.
And he's saying it's a completely false allegation, and he's actually suing the person over the false allegation for defamation. But he has been accused of sexual assault.
Okay.
They would have to do their due diligence on it before picking Isaiah Bond.
Okay.
But I think Isaiah Bond, what I've seen of him, what I read of him, fits what they want to do. Problem is they just drafted a guy last year that has similar characteristics to Isaiah Bond.
I'm putting Isaiah Bond in. Yeah, I know, but they haven't been able to hit on the wide receiver like they had hoped.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting him in there.
Yeah, with the caveat that they obviously have to do their due diligence on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and now we're going to Philly, and I'm just going to say we got to strongly consider Arroyo for Philly because they always draft on value. He's sliding. There is supposedly strife with Dallas Goedert in them looking at maybe replacing him or at least planning to replace him at some point. I don't know how you wait on Arroyo any longer.
I can't argue there. We'll hit their needs. Edge, safety, cornerback's a need for them? What? How the fuck did we come up with cornerback as a need for them?
Because they got rid of Slay, and did they get rid of Bradbury too? I don't know, but still, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I forgot about them getting rid of Slay. I just when I think cornerback.
They really don't need a cornerback, but
they doubled down on cornerback last year in the draft.
Yeah,
and
they nailed it. They fucking nailed it. The hardest position to nail in the draft, they fucking nailed both of them.
Yeah. So
they're so goddamn good, man.
Before we put in,
yeah, let's just consider others. I'm just saying that would be the obvious pick for me. And then if you're looking at best available or an alternative, I think we're through our second page on the best available. So you're going to, did we have Schlesinger go yet? I mean, that'd be a good pick. But
So let's just talk this out. It's not that much of a stretch. We have them as needing edge,
Talking
and
Scorton?
Scorton's still available here. I just want to talk. I want to consider him before we put Arroyo in. Arroyo is huge, a huge value pick here, and
No, I like it because they got Bryce Huff and they're expecting Nakobe Dean to step up. They do have Josh Uche, but like none of these guys are premier guys, right? And so I've got no problem with them throwing a dart on the edge over the tight end. So let's go Scorton, man.
yeah, I think I like Scorton better too because it's a need.
And tight ends are more likely to fall. So that's fine.
Yeah, but then where would shit? So
Oh, I don't even know. At that point, it's anybody's guess because you're gonna, especially by this point in the draft, you're gonna start having all sorts of crazy trades and shit happen, people moving around, and
yeah,
anything can happen. So,
no, I know. I just like looking at it and trying to think where Arroyo would go. Wow.
yeah, he'll find a home. I'm not sold on him to be honest, but he'll find a
I'm not
home.
either. I'm not sold on him either. If if he told me that he was from Iowa, maybe, but he's not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And also I don't know how much of a boost his production got with Cam Ward.
Yeah, I got you.
I like it.
Yeah. So that means Schlesinger and Arroyo are the big two hanging out there after the second round potentially.
And show.
Yeah, I mean, show I would expect to slide, but I hear you. All right, well, that gets us through our second round mock draft. Party, poopy people. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. We don't have question of the week. We don't have any of that, so I guess we just kind of wrap it up. You got any closing questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, jokes, insults?
Insults. All sorts of insults.
Okay, okay.
Wow, Caleb Johnson too.
Yeah. No, I like that we do this because honestly, it helps me like go through some of these profiles and look at guys where I'm like, oh shit, I would like the Lions to go after that guy, or oh yeah, or
So
oh fucking stay away from that guy. But the thing is, it's like we're also getting close to the point where you go like one more page, and I mean, I guess I'm just going to go and check it now. Yep, you go one more page, and a lot of the profiles have nothing on them. And so it's like, ah, shit. They used to be so good at giving you a fucking profile for every one of these guys, man. And now they're just slacking these last couple of years, dude. It fucking pisses me off, man.
yeah, that pisses me off. And I got a quick bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss the first round of the draft.
Oh. What are you doing for the first round of the draft?
Um, driving.
Oh, yeah, that's not. Oh, yeah, time change never, or your, Pacific time.
So, a coworker of mine retired, and her retirement party is next Thursday, up 100 miles away from here. I'm gonna have to drive home, get out of there at like 4, so I won't get home till like 7:30.
Yeah, that sucks, man. That fucking sucks. I guess let me
I
ask
didn't.
you on that note, what do you want to do for next week? Do you want to just take the week off, or you want to just pick a topic for Wednesday and fuck around, or what are you thinking?
Well, I don't want no. Let's just pick a topic and fuck around. Like,
A
uh,
perfect Lions draft.
honestly, the the pre-show is like medicine to me. I always feel better about my bitches.
Oh
Not my
yeah,
bitches,
no,
but
no, we should for sure still do it. I'm just saying because it'll be Wednesday next week, which is before the first round, and so we kind of have like an open week. But all right, well, yeah, we'll come up with a topic. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll like do some digging between now and then, and we'll say, hey, in an ideal scenario, these are our picks for the Lions, and we'll like come up with some rules, like they can't pick them before, whatever their draft spot is or whatever, based on their best available or something. So it's like, it's got to be somewhat realistic, right?
yeah, it's somewhat realistic. That's an interesting topic because in an ideal world, the Lions get Abdul Carter,
Yes, yes.
Travis Hunter, Mason
Uh,
Graham,
uh, yes. Which
Jalen
one's going in the
Walker.
seventh round? Are we waiting on Carter for the seventh round? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We gotta have some real rules to it because
yeah. Yeah. If we say, hey, this guy is their spotter later best available and we
I
like
would
him, boom.
I would say within I would say 5 spots ahead or later.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, you have a buffer because guys are going to fall. So,
Guys are
yeah,
gonna
no,
fall
I like
against it.
that. And the further on in the draft, maybe we go with a bigger buffer, right? Because the further on in the draft, the more guys are going to fall. So, maybe we start it with like five and it goes like an additional five every round or something.
I would say after the second round, no, after the third round, I would say five, but after the third round, a whole round.
A whole round. Okay. All right. Let's talk this weekend. We'll message back and forth and we'll nail it down. But I like the
Yeah,
idea.
I like the idea too.
All right. Well, hey, anybody who's watching, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, you're probably not going to. So I don't know.
If
Do
you
with it
haven't
what
liked
you
the
will.
video, you probably won't now. So,
Yeah.
although you did make it to the end, so you should fucking hit like.
Yeah. Or you just turned it on and skipped right to the end just to see what I would say because I'm being fucking cynical at the end of every video. But hey, we love you, party people. We love you so much. If you watch, we appreciate it. And if you don't, that's okay too because I got a bottle of whiskey here, so I'm not going to cry. So.
All
James, it's about me and you having fun, and it's always fun. I hope you have a good night, my man.
right, you too.
See ya.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.